All right, so here's the tool. Quick tour of it. It basically has clamps on the bottom that put the line under tension and hold it there. So you basically have 1, 2, 3. You got these little arrows here that show you kind of what direction to wrap the line in. I've wrapped it in different directions and it still works, but kind of nice to have. So let's start with, this is 65-pound braided. So we're going to wrap it around this first one, kind of in the direction that it says. And as soon as we get it nice and wrapped, go ahead and hit the shut. And then we're going to wrap it around this one. And go ahead and hit shut. So what do you got now? Nice tense line there. Then we're going to take our leader material. In this case, this is 20 pound. I'm going to wrap it around the bottom one. Okay. And then hit shut. I got about a foot sticking out of leader here. We got about a foot of leader that I'm working with. You could probably get by with less. So this is a real simple knot to begin with. Now, one of the tricks is you cannot go skimping on the times that you have to wrap it. I learned that the hard way and try to wrap it just a few times to test the knot, and it does not work. It needs to have at least 10 wraps on each side in order to create that tension. So let's start with it. Very simple. The leader's over. I just pin it with my fingers here, and then I come under. And the trick with these knots is you kind of want to start them off to the side and then snap them in the middle. And as you're doing that, you want to re-grip the knot that you're creating. So let's do that again. Make it go under, grab it, and kind of snap it to the middle and hold it together again. So again, we're going to keep doing that. Snap to the middle. Snap to the middle. If you're keeping score at home, that should be number 4. Snap to the middle, number 5. Whoops. Snap to the middle, number 6. Snap to the middle. And as you see, what we're creating is essentially the knot, right? So that was 8. This would be 9, and we got to do a total of 20. Sorry, this will be even numbers on this side. So 8, 9, and as you go, keep moving this pinch finger up to kind of hold the knot down. This is 10. And as you can see, these two things are starting to come closer together, but it's still keeping the tension on the line, which is what you want. Tension is the trick in this knot. You want to keep the tension all the time. If you let go of the tension, it loses the choke. It essentially works like Chinese handcuffs, where it is essentially just squeezing the line in the center. That's why it's so important to get all your wraps in, because if you don't get the squeeze long enough, the line slips right out. So I think this one's 14. And again, all you're doing is coming under the line and bringing it out on each side. So it's 14. As you can see, we're getting a nice even knot there. And all I do is I just hold this here to keep the knot from loosening up. $15, 16, and I swear I'm a lot faster with this one. I'm not filming myself. The other thing I would tell you is it's not super popular because you can tie a super long leader on, given that the knot slides really nicely through the guides. And because it does that, unlike some of the other knots where you tend to tie just a short amount of leader so that it doesn't go into your guides as you cast, this one can go all the way back in the reel and it comes out super smooth. So I use it on a bait caster And I'll have as much as 20 feet on there of a leader, which will give you plenty of cuts and plenty of different baits to put on. So I believe this is 17. 18. 19. And finally 20. So again, just under the line and over. And there it is. So there's your 20. So it's getting pretty long. It's almost about an inch long, I would say. Now here's the first knot you got to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through it, but I'm actually going to do it on the on a larger rope so you can see what it is I'm doing, but I'll keep talking on this video and cut over to the other. So all I'm doing is what they call a half hitch. So I'm doing a loop under the line, and then I am simply feeding it through that loop. So go under, feeding it through, and then pulling on the tag end. And that basically locks the nut, locks the nut in place. Once you do that, it's nice and locked. There's nothing else to keep pressure on. You get it all done, and that one little nut on the top is holding it together. So now you essentially finish the knot. And for knot terminology, the end here that's kind of the loose end, right, that's not back to the reel or back to the spool, is called the tag end. So hopefully you guys know that. So I got a tag end here, a tag end here. This goes back to the reel, and this goes back to the other end of the leader or the spool, however you want to look at it. So I am going to now switch heads. And here's what you do. You essentially open them all up. Okay. And what you want to do is remember, here's the way I do it. The braided tag is the only loose one in this arrangement after I do all this untangling. So basically you take this out, and that's the only one that's going to stay. And then the end of the line and the braided have to go on the same one. So I don't, just kind of how I remember when I do it. So see there, kind of the leader and the braided now are on the same spool. And then we're going to loosen this from the bottom. So that's open as well. Sorry, you do have a lot of stuff. Sometimes I clip the tag ends just so there's not so much stuff in the way. But here we go. We'll just loosen this up. Now that one's out. And you wrap that one around here. So what you end up with is a loose tag in here. I'm going to cut this. This is ridiculously long. All right, so now you have a tag end that's just hanging out. There's another tag end here that's just hanging out. But notice that on the way back to the reel and the tag end are on the same one. Now we're going to do a series of knots to secure the leader to the braided. Now because my hands are so big and you're not going to be able to see this, again, I'll cut over to doing it on a towel for you. I'm sorry, on a longer line for you. So essentially you're going to do one half hitch that goes over the knot. And again, it's that concept of pulling it in to finish it up. So that one went over. You got to remember that. You're going to do a second one that goes under. And you're basically going to do an over, under, over, under. So 4 knots. One. This one's. There we go. And I determine over by what the tag end does, not the loop. So this one needs to be, the last one was an under. This one is going to be an over. Just going to jump over the front here. So you make a small loop, you go over, we're on our third one. And then finally, the last one needs to go under. Since that one went over, you essentially put it here, and the tag end comes under. At that point, you've effectively there we go. At that point, you effectively finished the leader's tag. So I say at that point that can go. So what you want to do is you're going to trim it as tight as you can get it to the nut. Okay, it's pretty tight there. I don't know if you can even see that on the camera. Yeah, there it is. See just a little tiny bit of it, okay? And at this point, the knot's almost finished. I almost cut off too much off this tag, and I wish I wouldn't have. But it's just one last knot, and we're almost home. So basically what you do is you do a large end here. And again, I'm going to do this on a larger rope so you can see what it is that I'm doing. And what we want to do All right, so I moved the knot a little bit here, so just so we can have more room here and you can see it. But we're in the home stretch and we're going to tie the final knot. And all that is a small loop, which we're going to feed through 4 times. So it's almost like a clinch knot. At least that's what I've learned it as. And we're just going to feed it through 4 times. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's essentially been fed through 4 times. I haven't clinched it yet. I'm going to give it a little saliva just to wet the knot. And again, you kind of pull up first to get the knot kind of set, and then you kind of bring it into the other knot just like that. And this is where you want to pull super hard just to get everything done. I get the whole knot wet. And now you can see that our knot is finished. So if we cut this tag enough, you end up with a nice little knot there. This slides right through the guides.